Now we'll move on to some features that you may have to use in certain labs that are more complicated. So in some cases, you may need a different graph type to graph your data. So this is a case for Lab C when there's so many data points that they were all run together if they were plotted separately. So in this case, we'd want to select all of our data, and we go to Insert, Recommended Charts. We scroll down to our Scatter with Smooth Lines. And this is what we get.
Editing to take care of the features that we already talked about. So we did a graph title, our axis titles, eliminating our grid lines, all of that. Now we're going to talk about another specific feature that we need for this lab, and that is a legend. So we're going to click our graph, go to Format, and we do want this legend toggle on. So legends are needed when we are looking at multiple data sets all plotted on the same graph. And as we can see here, there's 11 different data curves on this graph. And so we need a legend to tell us which curve corresponds to which. So for this particular lab, we have two different dyes, and we're looking at absorbance as a function of wavelength at varying concentrations of those dyes. And the specifics of this lab aren't really important, but we do need to learn how to relabel the legend. So let's say that for series 1, which is this blue curve here, let's say this corresponds to a concentration of 0.1 molar. And so we'll just type that in, and that will automatically change the name. And I would do that for all of the series to rename them so that they correspond to what we're actually looking at. And the next thing I want to do to make it make a little more sense is change the colors. So Excel is going to assign random colors to each series, but we want to change them to make them make a little more sense. So again, in this case, we're looking at red dye and blue dye, and these curves that have peaks over here correspond to the red dye, and these correspond to the blue dye. So what we're going to do is we might go down to this one, and maybe I'll make all the red dye curves different shades of red, and the blue dye curves different shades of blue, so that it looks a little better. Change all the colors, you might end up with something like this. We have our red dye curves, blue dye curves, and then we have this unknown one, and they're all labeled appropriately. Now we do have some white space over here, and it is necessary because we still have some data over here, but just for aesthetic, we might want to change the position of the legend. So I might change it from bottom over to the right and have it move like that.
So there also may be some times where we'll need to draw lines in order to highlight specific points in the data. So for this graph, we want to highlight the wavelengths at which our peaks and absorbance occurs. So for the red data, it's here, and for the blue data, it's here. So we can do so by going into Insert, Shape, and clicking on Line. So that inserts it, and we can click on it to move it over to where we need the line to be. So we can make sure, changes orientation, make sure it's a straight line, and we drag it over to where our peak occurs. And we can do the same for the blue as well. I'm going to just copy and paste the line and then drag it over. So you can also change the color of the line as well. Let's do that to demonstrate blue and red. And you can change the weight of the lines as well. And yeah, you can also add text boxes if you want to label your lines as well. So we go back to Insert, Text Box, and you can label that. So for this, I'll write the lambda max is 507.5, and I'll drag that down to where my line is. There. And you can do the same for the blue line as well.